There we go. So we've got 4 games to round up for this moment. We have 3 of the 4 cup fixtures that are yet to be played, as well as information on a extra one, as well as the last game of the round 1 league fixtures, which will mean I've got no rosters to declare and show today, but I will be going through the tables, I will be going through the stats, and I'll be going through the meat, everything that's happened. So, let's have a look. The league fixtures. The cup fixtures, sorry. We'll start with the score you can see at the top. The Somebodies versus the Anti-Heroes, ending in a 2-1 victory to the Somebodies. Liam showcasing why he's in the Premier Division and the freshly relegated team run by Stuart, showing that he has found his place where he is at the moment and failing to qualify for round 2. It was also 1-0 on casualties to Liam, the Somebodies, but from what I can see here, there was 3 completions by Stuart's team, so got some good stats on the board and hopefully some SPP ready for skill development. And I've got a particular scene of play here that really showed why there's bias to the higher division teams, as there was a KO that occurred, and it was a Witch Elf of the Dark Elf team, the Anti-Heroes. The player successfully came back after a touchdown by the Somebodies was scored, right into a officious ref that then KO'd and sent the same player off that had just freshly come back off the bench. Literally, walked onto the field, walked straight back off again. That is, it's atrocious, but it really set the tone for the match, and unfortunately losing such an important player so early on, one might suggest there was a little bit of bribery, but we don't know. We don't know. So that match ended 2-1, and Liam, you'll be advancing. Also advancing, as you can also see, is the Averheim Mashers against the Roaring Juniors, which, as we know, unfortunately going forward, the Roaring Juniors have cowardly shunned themselves and ran away like cowards. Is it failing to live up to the Roaring Juniors name set by my senior team? Is it other reasons? We don't know. But as far as I've been made aware, they will not be returning for the rest of this season, forfeiting every match they come against, which includes this second game of theirs versus the Averheim Mashers of the Premier Division. So, with a heavy heart, that was a 3-0, 3-0, and the Averheim Mashers will go through. Less to be said about that, the better. Next is the Pixie Prixies versus the Xandria Power Slaves. The Pixie Prixies having their first game, where the Xandria Power Slaves have already come out of preseason, and maybe that match fitness is shining through because it was a solid 2-0 victory, and it was also a 4-0 on casualties to the Xandria Power Slaves against the Dark Elf Pixie Prixies. It was even in the Xandria's favour, 2-1 on completions, which is definitely a shock considering the type of team it is. It was also mentioned that there was probably greased gauntlets given to the Pixie Prixies, considering that ball play was pretty much non-existent throughout this game, and the Xandries seem to know this and take advantage. But unfortunately, coming off coaching a dwarf team and coming into playing as a Dark Elf team, it seems that maybe tactics were a little lacking, and I think there's going to be growth pains and learning. But I have confidence, given the quality a Dark Elf team can have, that I would like to think that despite the poor start to the season, considering this is your first game, Tom, I would expect some performance enhancements elsewhere. We will see, but the other good thing is that there was 12 SPP distributed to John's thrower, I believe it was, who picked up 2 touchdowns, 2 completions, and player of the match. Very, very well done. The game that's outstanding is the Illustrated Snotlings versus the Badlands Blackhawks. We will be trying to get that game completed and wrapping up round 1 with a nice little bow. But, excuse me, as things stand, this game is incomplete and is owed. Moving on now to the Wild Boys versus Shaun of the Undead. A new coach versus a more seasoned coach. It was an expected 1-0 on touchdowns and 3-0 on Kaz, all to the Wild Boys, but it was said that Sean's team did surprisingly do okay. And from what I also saw from the weather forecasts and the weather mages around the grounds, it was pouring with rain and it caused a lot of issues, hence why there is only 1 touchdown in this entire game. And yeah, a lot of casualties too. So we were probably expecting a lot of slips and a few accidental elbows, punches, kicks, and yeah. So, going in and looking at the round 2 fixtures ready, obviously, as we can see at the top, people that already had buys into the second round through league positions from last season is the Sneaky Sniggering Kniggets and the Mushroom Pickers. Sneaky Sniggering Kniggets coming off of last season where their coach won the cup, and Carl, the Mushroom Pickers, the runner-up. Also, they played each other in their first league games, already having that interesting replay. Next is the Xandri Power Slaves versus the Wild Boys, an all-Segunda round match. It is going to be interesting. Another replay from the first week of fixtures is the Averheim Mashers versus the Nordic Nippers, my team and Lee's team. For the simple fact that was a concede, it meant that everything went through. No issue, no risk. But can the Averheim Mashers get revenge? Will the Nordic Nippers push forward once more? The last fixture, the Somebodies. You guys are going to be taking on the winner of either the Badlands Blackhawks or the Illustrated Snotlings. We are yet to find out. I would expect it's going to be an interesting match. And honestly, I would put Liam on getting past either of those teams, honestly. So let's just quickly wrap up some predictions from my perspective. So the Sneaky Sniggering Kniggets versus the Mushroom Pickers. Rob, the only time Rob hasn't beaten Carl was the league match where he got a draw. And it was these 2 teams. Carl and Rob both have a game in between. Rob has got to play Liam, who's a dark horse and pretty lethal with these Wood Elves. Carl's got to play me, my vampires, and I think the prediction will come down to how much of each of their teams will be left and how intact they will be when they come to face each other again. I would honestly put my money on the Kniggets, just off previous form, previous meetings, and Rob is a stunty coach by choice, whereas Carl's giving these go for the first time. It's a tough one. It's just going to come down to experience, previous meetings, and honestly, I think, apart from a couple of players which are very tough, his team's fairly throwawayable, whereas with Carl, I believe a lot more of his players are valuable. Wild Boys versus the Xandri Power Slaves. This is going to be an interesting match, but I would probably put my money on the Wild Boys just for the fact I think they're very similar skilled coaches with very, very good teams. The only reason why I'm saying it is because James, who's the Wild Boys coach, has just played more Blood Bowl games recently. John is coming back off a fairly long break. And yeah, he's had a couple games, but it's ring rust. It's ring rust. And I would expect that to dissipate over time. But yeah. Averheim Mashers versus the Nordic Nippers. It was a tough match in the first league fixture where we played each other, but I think there's room for improvement. I know I barely lucked out on him getting an equaliser for 2-2. But now I've had a bit of an understanding of how he plays his teams, and obviously he's had one for me. I can see us going to a tie. I could see us being a decent scoring tie, maybe a 2-2, and then myself maybe winning in the overtime. But, and the last one, the Somebodies, as bad as it sounds, out of Nigel and Sam, I think Liam could beat both of them on his day. So that would be my predictions for going into the third round, the semi-final. So have a look at the league table, shall we? Starting with the Primera Division. As you can see, I'll scroll across in a moment, but top of the league, we have Liam on 10 points because he got a Kaz and touchdown bonus in his first match. Second is myself, also picking up a victory, but none of the bonuses, on 6 points. Both on 4 points for getting clean sheets and drawing against each other is Carl and Rob. Nothing separating them yet, apart from team name only. Losing, but picking up a casualty bonus, is Sam, who sits himself on 3 points and dead last, unfortunately, because of no points bonuses, and losing is Lee, but I expect results to pick up elsewhere. Looking at the top scorers, again, there's not many, but Eric and Irsa are joint top, scoring 2 touchdowns each for the Somebodies and the Nordic Nippers. We have Derek of the Somebodies also picking up a touchdown. We have the illustrated Snot Pickers, Go-Go Gadget, and Jay Madison of the Averheim Mashers, all on 1. At the completions table, we have Jay Tyler of the Averheim Mashers on 4, already a strong start, with Irsa and Nabron of the Somebodies and the Nordic Nippers both on 2. Looking at the casualty table, we can already see quite a few. We have the only one on 2 is Otto of the Somebodies. We have Badger of the Sneaky Sniggering Kniggets. We have Bang of the Illustrated Snot Pickers. We have Bodil of the Nordic Nippers. We have Buck My Ass of the Mushroom Pickers. We have Derek and Eric of the Somebodies. We have Hugh Janus of the Mushroom Pickers. We have Mep of the Illustrated Snot Pickers. Paul Chuckle of the Sneaky Sniggering Kniggets. Tick Tick and Wallop of the Illustrated Snot Pickers, all on 1. Not bad, guys, not bad. Looking at the Segunda Division, we have the Zandri Power Slaves in first. And that is because they got a concede result, which gave them a clean sheet, touchdown bonus, and casualty bonus, giving the full maximum 11 points. Bear in mind, every team is going to be getting that this season, so that does mean nothing, unfortunately, for the moment. The Wild Boys are in second, having 1 and getting themselves a Kaz bonus on 8 points. With 6 points, it's Sean of the Undead getting a straight victory, no bonuses. We have Stuart of the Anti-Heroes and Nigel of the Badlands Blackhawks both picking up losses and no points bonuses. We have the Pixie Prixies. Tom, you are yet to play, and Adam last because his team has ran away from the league. This, as a point out, will mean Adam does not get the wooden spoon. You can't get the wooden spoon if you don't play. So, that means the wooden spoon award will go to 6th place, not 7th place. 6th place only. Let's have a look at the top scorers. We have more touchdowns this time. So we have Chocolate Salty Boils and Fun Bobby of the Wild Boys both picking up 1 touchdown each. Rocket Raccoon of the Anti-Heroes on 1. Ed, Sean of the Undead, 1. And we have Khrushchev, we have Slaum and Flinger, all of the Zandri Power Slaves, on 1. In completions, we have a single completion by Logan, but we know their team can handle the ball, as in the Cup, they did 3. They don't transfer, not for the league. Casualties, bit better. We have Raging Bull and Morgan Thrash of the Wild Boys both picking up 2. We have Agent 47 of the Anti-Heroes with 1. Sean from Sean of the Undead, who fortunately passed away, on 1. Basham, Krusotef, and Shabla, all of the Zandri Power Slaves, on 1. Again, those are through concedes, but they still count. I appreciate everyone that is watching. And just as a round up reminder, let's look at the saved league. We go to the T-GOW division, and we'll go to the Primera as we then look at round 2 of fixtures, which are going to be played next week, in theory. We have the Nordic Nippers versus the Mushroom Pickers, the Somebodies versus the Sneaky Sniggering Kniggets, and the Illustrated Snotlings versus the Averheim Mashers. That is round 2 of fixtures for the league. In the Segunda Division, we have Xandria Power Slaves taking a back seat, and their week off is here. We have the Pixie Prixies taking on the Anti-Heroes. We have Shaun of the Undead getting their concede victory against Adam's team. It is unfortunate, but it is nothing I can do. And finally, we have the Wild Boys versus the Badlands Blackhawks. Might I suggest, for anyone watching, that Sean, John, if it's of interest, you two might want to play another friendly against each other. Sean, because you're a newer player, and I think you could benefit from the experience. And John, the simple fact, bring Rust, buddy. I would suggest trying to find games and or playing against each other. You don't have to, obviously, but it gives you guys something to do in the meantime. Good luck to everybody. Hopefully, get some victories, huh? No skulls, all powers. Let's go.